America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This meeting is being live streamed by Chelmsford Telemedia and posted to the CPS website for interested community members to access and watch. In-person public participation will be taking place tonight in accordance with the Chelmsford School Committee Public Participation Policy. Anyone speaking tonight during the public input portion of this meeting has notified the superintendent's office of their desire to speak and has been provided with these guidelines. Upon written request, comments received no later than 12 p.m. on the day of the meeting will also be read and made part of the record of the meeting during the second public comment session. So welcome to this meeting of the Chelmsford School Committee. Our first order of business is to approve our minutes from our last meeting on April 23rd.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve the minutes of the May 23rd, you said?
April
23rd, 2024 meeting. It's not at May yet.
I second.
Okay, great. Any corrections? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Were you not here for this one, last one?
So I have to abstain.
And one abstention, okay? So 3 aye and one
I was gonna
abstention.
say, I reviewed the notes and watched the meeting.
All right, so next up, we will hear from our Chelmsford High School student representatives.
So yesterday, the Boston Brass Quintet came to Chelmsford High School Performing Arts Center to perform with the Chelmsford High School Band. They are a world-renowned brass quintet, and it was an amazing opportunity for high school students to see and hear professional musicians. Also, last week, from April 27th to the 30th, 3 Chelmsford High School students were part of an 800-student contingent representing Massachusetts DECA at the International Career Development Conference in Anaheim, California. The conference had over 23,000 students attending and competing in various competitive events. The Chelmsford High School students include junior Pranav Aburi, junior Arvin Rao, and sophomore Ethan Jang. Congratulations to these students.
Hello, everyone. So this week AP tests have started and they will go till the end of next week. And that means students will be able to take tests at the high school and get excused from the rest of their classes. And this weekend is the junior classes cotillion. And the junior job shadow day will be Tuesday, May 21st, and students will be able to use their networking skills to find a professional they can shadow and see what their day looks like. The students who choose not to participate in this event will have to complete a career readiness course with Ms. Cunningham at school. So I take the first option.
Thank you very much. Any other good news we'd like to share?
Yes, we have some good news. It's hot off the presses coming through on my phone. So at the elementary level, a lot of excitement going on because they have their seeds, worms, and fish, and all sorts of life science happening in grades K through 4. That's a very exciting time, especially the fish. We have our grade 8 and 11 students will be selecting their topics for their civics projects this week. And it's concert season, and tonight is obviously Parker Middle School. Tomorrow night is McCarthy Middle School Band, and then the Byam Art Show is Thursday evening.
Anybody else have any good news they want to share?
I have some kind of good news in advance. On April 27th, I attended the Joint Ideas, MASS. So Ideas is Initiative for Developing Equity and Achievement for Students. And MASS is Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents. And the day-long training was called Anti-Racist Education in an Age of Resistance. The keynote speaker, Tim Wise, was fabulous. But the good news is good news in advance, because one of the workshops I went to was titled Restorative Practices. And I happened to look through this presentation already. And what we're going to hear tonight is exactly what they were talking about doing at the Ideas Conference. So the good news is we're doing what's recommended. So good to know.
Anybody else have any good news they want to share? I just wanted to mention, last Monday, we went to town meeting and school budget was approved for next year. I thank all the town meeting reps and all the boards for their support. And I know we're going to talk about it later, but the Parker School feasibility study was also approved by town meeting. So those are great news for the school district. So.
I also just wanted to note that today is Teacher Appreciation Day, and tomorrow is School Nurses Day, I believe. And I know this is all part of a period of teacher appreciation, but I just wanted to celebrate that and express my appreciation for the teachers in the district.
As a teacher, every day is Teacher Appreciation Day.
That's right. I read the newsletter from, I think it was the one from Center, and it said that everybody who walks in that building is an educator, and it's true. So it's a chance to appreciate everybody who is in every school. Terrific.
All right, anybody else? Great. All right, we're now to our first public input session, but I don't believe we have any registered speakers,
We do not.
so we can move right to new business.
We are going to run right into our new business tonight, and we have our last but certainly not least of our schools presenting tonight at the school committee. So for the members that are watching at home, we invite each of our schools to come up one per month to talk a little bit about some of the special work that's happening in their schools. And tonight we have Principal Rob Aslan and some staff from Harrington Elementary School. So I'm going to turn it over to Rob. I know you have some staff and students in the house, so would love to hear about some of your initiatives taking place at Harrington. So welcome on.
Thank you so much for having us here. Before I get into what we're going to be talking about tonight, I'll just introduce my crew that came with us, a pretty large crew, but they're all amazing. I have Dr. Marlena Barrasso next to me. I have Mrs. Grabowski, my assistant principal. Mr. John Cuffert is grade 4. Mrs. Allison Bakanowski is grade 1. And then I have Nico, Auden, Caroline, and Eliana, who are student speakers for us tonight. So 2 first grade, 2 fourth grade. So they all worked hard in preparing for this, so we're excited for them to do their part. This is like a new chapter in their lives, being here in school committee. They're on TV, they're feeling famous, so they're good to go. So, but you know, for us at Harrington, we're always trying to find ways to meet the needs of the students' social emotional learning and development. You know, in addition to Second Step, Dr. Barrasso is really the resident expert when it comes to restorative practices. Circles is what we use. And we felt that as a tool, it enhances the social emotional learning with Second Step for the students. When we came out of COVID, and I believe I talked about this a couple of years ago when I showed the screener, when we had the screener going, we noticed that the students coming out of COVID really did need a little bit more robust social emotional learning creatively. So Dr. Barrasso has a history of working with circles and restorative practices, so we talked about it, and we slowly rolled it out in the school over the past couple of years. Now it's a pretty common tool that we're using. Some teachers are using it as morning meetings, or if situations arise, we're using the circle format to help the students. The students are advocating for everything that's happening in that circle. So they're talking about what they're feeling. It's a safe environment for them. There's accountability, there's responsibility, there's good news shared. So it covers all gamuts of that social emotional development for our students. So with that, I will let the experts speak, and I'll start off with Dr. Barrasso.
Thank you, Rob. So tonight we're going to just briefly introduce restorative practices and using circles at Harrington. We're going to talk about the circle overview, how we've implemented the interventions, and moving forward. So Rob did touch a little bit on how we got started. So about 2 years ago, I was seeing the need to supplement Second Step with more of community building after COVID, and really kind of looking at opportunities for teachers to build connections and relationships with our students. You know, the masks, after those came off, you know, we really were seeing a need to bring that focus into community back. And so I brought circles. I have a background with my dissertation in bringing circles to Harrington, and I trained our school counselor, and more like a train the trainer model, where then she and I both expressed interest or asked teachers to express interest at a staff meeting 2 years ago, and we had some good reception from that, and we were able to train teachers, and it's really been taking off. So we're going to just sort of talk a little bit about what we've done and where we're going. So the foundations of circles is restorative practices is an indigenous practice, and one aspect of that is circles, and how those work are that it's a holistic approach to understanding students, understanding teachers, building relationships. That's really kind of at the heart of circles is another way to build positive relationships with your students and to get to know them on a deeper level. There is a positive discipline component where we are teaching teachers and students to resolve conflict in more of a proactive way. And there is a mindfulness practice that we're teaching. So there's lots of different components that are going on in a circle, which we'll get to in a little bit. And the idea is that there will be whole school adoption, which does take a while, but we are getting there after a few years. So it's really exciting to see that. So what are circles? Circles are a highly structured intentional space. And so at the tier 1 level, it's happening in the classroom where all students are a part of the circle and the teacher is typically leading the circle. And there's different topics that are discussed, lessons can be taught in the circle, and they really focus on, no matter what the circle is, connection, understanding, kids practicing pro-social skills, and really having them find a voice and being active in that dialogue. And it's really amazing to see the students respond to it as well and see how community can be built pretty quickly starting in the fall. So I'm gonna pass it over.
What is practiced in circles? Respect, equality, empathy, emotional literacy, problem solving, responsibility, self-regulation, shared leadership.
Nico, come up so you're ready, okay?
All right, so I just want to go into a little bit about how we've been using circles here at Harrington. So we've been using it across all 3 tiers. So in the general education classroom, as Dr. Barrasso talked about, we've really been using it to build that classroom community. Also, teachers have been using it proactively as they start to see situations arise. Then they'll do a circle around that before it can get to be a bigger problem. And Mr. Comfort and Mrs. Bakanowski are going to share with you in a little bit how some of the circles they've done this year in their classrooms. And it really creates a safe space for teachers and students to communicate with each other. And we'll get to some of those circles in a bit, as I said. And then we've been using it at Tier 2. So Mrs. Rames, who's our school counselor, and I have done a lot of Tier 2 circles to really address ongoing behavior concerns. A lot of those are concerns that might come up at recess or between a few kids in a classroom. And so we've been doing a lot of Tier 2 groups, circles around that. Also, this year, this spring, I've started doing Tier 3 circles with students who have some significant behaviors and involving their parents or guardians as well in those circles. So the parents and the guardians are part of those circles, as well as other trusted adults within the building that the students have identified that they want to be part of that circle, where we really talk about what's been the problem, what is each person in the circle, including the child, shares what they see the problem being, and then who's it helping or how is it harming, what's their feelings, and then how can each of those adults in that circle support the student and provide support to that student as they're gaining skills. So we're going to now get into what does a circle look like, and the students are going to go step by step through the different parts of a circle.
We sit in a circle. Some classes use a centerpiece. All classes use a talking piece, so kids know when to talk and when not to talk. My class uses Baby Echo or a Pop-It. We use mindful moments to calm down and be ready for our circles. My class uses rainbow breaths or belly breaths.
Circle opening. You can open a circle with a quote related to the topic of the circle. An example of a poem is from Circle Poem. People in a circle share stories, values, dreams, and create a unity. The teacher can do an icebreaker or game if they want. check-in round. We talk about how we are feeling that day. We talk about if we want to share something with the class. In class, we use feeling words to describe how we feel. Some classes do a weather check-in, a thumbs up or down, or say the zone they are in. Main rounds and activity. In class, Mr. Cuffer introduces the topic and then asks questions about the topic. Everyone has a chance to share. Everyone is able to pass. The teacher usually does a few rounds of questions.
So in fourth grade, I try to begin the year by building the connection between students and to address the expectations that students will be following all year. So the beginning of the year circles tend to be more about introducing what a circle is, the meaning of it, and the purpose. Then we go into getting to know new classmates, finding things we have in common with each other. And then throughout the year, I will use different lessons from the Circles book that I feel are targeted to things that are ongoing in the classroom. So as far like setting goals throughout the school year, compliments for each other. My class really enjoyed that. They would turn to their next door neighbor and give them a compliment. We can take the temperature of the classroom kind of as a self-reflection of how the class is going at the time. Usually it's at a time where maybe there's a big test coming up and students are feeling nervous for it, or projects that are ongoing. Another circle that I've done is called the impact of gossip. That was a circle I did last year, and that was meant to work on problems that were coming up at recess and lunch between some students. And then towards the end of the year, I'll focus more on the transition from fourth grade to fifth grade. And the circle Sticking Together is about that. So it's about how, as a class, we're a family, and that stays the same as students move into a new school.
So in first grade, we do a lot of the similar things in the beginning of the year. We use circles to help kids practice just the setting of being in a circle and how to pass a talking piece, and to help them understand that it's a safe space to share. We use it a lot to get to know each other. So we share a lot about ourselves in the beginning of the year so kids can make connections with other kids and I can make connections with my students. We also use it as a way to set our classroom rules and expectations, so it's more of a conversation, so that the students understand why the expectations are the way that they are. We do a lot of general circles too about kindness and friendship and empathy and understanding our own feelings as well as understanding others' feelings. And we do it to reinforce some academic things as well. If after a tricky math lesson, sometimes we'll do a check for understanding circle, and we'll talk about how we felt about the lesson, what we thought we could do better for next time. And we can also use it to share our work. We do it a lot with writing prompts. They like to share out their writing. And one of my favorite ones to do is the welcome back after vacation, just to hear about everyone's vacation and talk about moving forward, what our expectations still are.
Nico, come on over.
We have videos from 1st and 4th grade about how circles help people.
Circles help me say how I am feeling.
Circles help us by knowing each other more and more and being friends with other people too.
Circles help people express how they feel and what's on their mind.
Circles help people express how they feel, and circles help people learn about each other.
Circles help people reconnect and help people share their emotions. Like when I lost my cat, the circle helped me be able to share my emotions, and that made me feel better.
Circles help us express our feelings in a safe area. When our friends are sad and they tell us their problem in a circle, we know what's wrong and can help them feel better.
Circles help people express themselves and share their feelings.
Circles help by letting your emotions out when you need it.
best. Circles help people loosen up and feel better if they're having a bad day or had something bad happen to them. If they want to share what happened, it will stay in this room.
To me, circles help me with emotions and problems in my life. It is a safe place to talk to about my feelings.
Circles help me by letting me know that I can express myself because I know I can trust anyone. Circles help me say stuff that's on my chest.
Circles help explain how I'm feeling and if I have anything to share with the class that day. I also know it's a safe place to share anything.
Circles help me when I am sad and they make me feel like I belong.
Circles help our Harrington community and getting us to know one another.
Circles help me tell what I feel on the inside.
Circles help me explain my feelings and I know what I can trust the people in my class. Circles help people who learn in a different way so they feel comfortable.
Circles help me with sharing. I tell things I am scared of saying. Circles help me know about other people's feelings.
Circles help me feel comfortable.
Circles help me feel happy and calm.
Circles help me concentrate.
Circles help people that learn differently.
Circles help making me feel comfortable.
Circles help me learn.
Circles help me be kind to people so I do not hurt their feelings.
Circles help me with helping others.
Circles help me feel comfortable. Circles help me know what I should do. Circles help me cheer up when I am sad.
Circles helps us to feel calm.
Circles help me concentrate.
Circles help me listen.
Circles help me explain my opinion. Circles help me when I'm sad that I can feel happy.
Circles help me not feel uncomfortable.
That we say circles what? We use thumbs up, thumbs down, or we rate the circles from 1 to 5.
So we have a couple things on here about our input on how circles have been going in our classroom. And since Dr. B introduced this to us, I have to say I've never known my students better. And I think that is the biggest thing that I've gotten out of it. I think some of the things that the students have gotten out of it is that they get to know their classmates better, what helps them learn, what helps them feel comfortable, and the way that I see them thinking about not just how they feel, but about how other people feel. It's really impressive to be able to see that. There's a couple different ways that we can do it. Most of the time, I'll do it as a 30-minute lesson. We take the skills that we learned in second step, and then we apply them to ourselves and to others. And sometimes I'll do it for just 10 minutes after lunch or first thing in the morning, just depending on what I think we need. And it gives all of the students a safe space to share. There's some kids that are always raising their hand in math and always raising their hand to share. And this is a nice way to get everyone to be able to share, and everybody feels comfortable doing that. So it's nice to hear from everyone. It helps to reinforce classroom expectations. So if there's something that's going on that is not part of our expectations, we can come together in a circle and we can discuss it and talk about how that's impacting others. And those are really the biggest benefits that I've noticed so far.
Yeah, and just going off what Mrs. Bakanowski just said, what I really wanted to emphasize is that students really feel that it is a safe space being in the circle, how anybody can pass, and that whatever we share in the circle is private. As Caroline said, actually in our video, students know that it is what happens or what is said in the circle stays there, and students really take that to heart. In one of our last circles, a few students brought that up, how things we've talked about in the circle have never even come up. There's been discussions happening with me and students after recess when things come up, but never has anything to do with what is discussed in the circle. So I was really impressed with them for taking that to heart. And as Mrs. Bakanowski said, just the ability to talk about a variety of topics throughout the year, depending on what students need at the time, and helping them build those deep, meaningful relationships with each other, feeling proud that they can share in a circle and feel comfortable is another great thing about them. I've had students set goals to share more in the circles, because in the beginning of the year they felt shy and reserved, but then throughout the year they wanted to put themselves out there a little more because they knew it was a safe space. So overall, it's been a wonderful addition to my classroom, and I can't agree more with Ms. Bakanowski that I know my students so much better having added circles weekly. So.
So we just want to share a little bit about our plans moving forward. So after Dr. Barrasso introduced it, Mrs. Rames and I, we did do the Tier 1 circle training through Suffolk. Also, Dr. Barrasso, Mrs. Rames and I, we went to, through Mass Partnerships for Youth this past March, we went to 2 different days where they were talking about circle practice and restorative practice. And so from going to that, we got some ideas of work we want to do going forward. So this is just an example of one of the districts, I think it was Framingham, that they're using. So really creating visuals to build on the Tier 1 that we're already doing to provide more support in the classroom for teachers for learning about behavior and for really working on self-regulation. So this is one of the things we're going to work on moving forward. As well as there was a group from Everett that talked about this document that they have called Handle with Care, where it's for students who are having a hard time, maybe having some challenging behavior, and they just have a document with the student's name and just says like basically if the name's on that, just know something's going on in their life that's having them have a hard time right now. And then we're going to also have like the point person for school. If you're having a hard time with that person, who's the adult in the building that knows the most that you can go talk to, and what are a few key strategies for working with that student. We're also going to do some work around thinking about the first month of school and really focusing on second step self-regulation strategies and using circles to really build that classroom community. Because if you are not building that, then as the learning gets harder and you don't have that classroom community, then that really starts to, the behavior can start to impact the learning. So really thinking about how can we be mindful in starting the year. We're continuing to do a lot of work on developing strategies to help repair relationships that have been broken down in the community. So we're really doing a lot of work on that and reflecting on how we can do that. And then we've just started recently and going to continue working with specialists for them to start incorporating circles into their classroom as they're another learning space that the kids don't always see. So really building that community with that specialist teacher, not just with their classroom teacher that they see every day. So that's kind of our vision going forward of where we're headed. Anything else?
So the common term that we've been talking about tonight is community. If there's anything that the students are getting out of the circles and the staff, it's community. I think it was pretty important for Mr. Cuffert, Mrs. Bakanowski to mention that prior to circles, the relationship that's developed wasn't as deep as they are now with the circles. So the students have an active voice in their learning and what's happening in that classroom and in the school overall. And I think what that does is it brings us closer together as a community. We're using a common language that everybody knows and understands. And it has done a lot for the school over the past couple of years. It's really taken us into a new level, and as Karen had mentioned, moving forward with all these things that we've been getting information from, workshops, so on. It'll just help us make it even more robust as we continue to move forward, so. And that's all we have tonight.
Well,
So.
thank you very much. Anybody have any questions or comments they would like to? Maria?
Can I ask, I wonder if the two teachers would mind commenting on what do you see as the difference between circles in the first grade versus circles in the fourth grade? Because I'm thinking of, the social and the emotional development in a child I cannot see this possibly having some issues in fifth grade, sixth grade. I don't know. But I'm just exploring. What is the difference? What do you see as the difference?
So based off some of the things that I've heard that John does with his class, he uses it, I would say, a little bit more to repair situations that are happening, and they talk more specifically. Whereas in the first grade level, we do a lot more general circles about kindness and what does kindness mean, and when have you ever experienced kindness, and going forward, how can you show kindness, and things like that. I would say that's one of the biggest differences.
Yeah, and going off of kindness, as for example in fourth grade, like I mentioned, we can do the compliments for confidence circle. We talk about what confidence is. We talk about self-reflection. There's a circle on who am I really, it's called, and they have a list of sentences that are incomplete, and all of them start with I am. And there's about 10 of them, and every student, I don't give them a prompt or any idea of what to finish those sentences with. And they need to complete the sentences, and then we share our favorite ones and things that surprised ourselves to come up with, because or surprised by our peers' answers, because even as an adult, it's interesting to reflect on completing those sentences and thinking about yourself. So that's just an example of kind of, like you said, more of specific things we can do at different grade levels.
That's really fantastic. So it's been 3 years in the school and I remember the first presentation and how awesome that was coming out of COVID. And this seems like it's really taken it to a whole new level. And you want to continue doing that because you're finding it's that good. Have you seen any bad ramifications where you talked about the privacy and that students truly respect it?
Yeah.
Which, wow, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, I personally haven't seen any.
I haven't either. I've had, as the year goes on, the kids get more comfortable with it, and I get more comfortable with the kids and how they act. I've had students who have said to me, like, I'm too mad to do a circle right now, and I have now built up some strategies to get them to kind of warm up to a little bit, or to just make sure they're participating. It happened in the beginning of the year, and I did, for our opening, I did say one nice thing about the person sitting next to you, and somebody said something nice about that kid, and then he turned right around and he was in. So I feel like the more they get comfortable with it, the easier it is for them, and for me, too.
That's phenomenal. Congratulations to all the students. Everybody did such a great job. And for the two of you, happy Teachers Appreciation Week.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for being a teacher.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Sue, Diana, any?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that for the students that are here, first of all, great job. Second of all, this is something that is an amazing skill to be learning in elementary school. I went through the same training and did this as an adult in a workspace using restorative practices to build a stronger community in a workspace. So I think it's really fantastic. You're getting a head start. I hear this more often being used in schools at the secondary level. So to be able to build these skills starting in as young as first grade is so fantastic. So.
Restorative practice is something I've been learning a lot about in the past few years and reading about. I have a friend who's a specialist, and so I've been really learning a lot about it. And I think the fact that you're doing it for community building is so important, because that is what's going to help ensure that you have fewer problems in the future. But as you're moving forward with your strategies to repair relationships, I'd love to have you come back at some point and tell us about that. This workshop I went to dealt a lot with that, repairing relationships, because the person who may have done something that caused harm to someone has to make amends and know how to repair the relationships with the rest of the class or the community. But the community has to learn how to accept and welcome that person back in and kind of let them start back in with as a sound member of that community as well. So it's two parts. It's not just about the person who did something, it's about the whole group learning how to repair those relationships. And so I'm looking forward to hear how that goes as you're developing more of that.
Yeah, just, again, thank you for the presentation. I mean, thank you for the teacher input, but especially for the students. I mean, it was a well-oiled machine. I mean, it looks like you had been doing this for weeks now.
Yeah, very choreographed.
Everybody knew their part and went in, and it was great to hear from the students, both in person and online, on the video. So thank you again, and keep up the good work.
And thank you for bringing the program and using your background to do it.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Thank you. Rob, thank you. Students did a great job.
Thank you.
That was amazing.
Yeah, you want to just?
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Thank you.
I'm learning that I have to bring the mic with me as I turn now.
Yeah, that's the tough part, right? It's like,
If I talk to them, I'm like, nope.
Did such a good job. Those kids are so grown up.
oh, no.
Yeah.
So amazing grown up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen.
The baby was good?
What?
The baby was good?
Baby was good.
It's all put together.
That was cute. All right, jumping back to the agenda under new business, item number 2, Dennis had alluded to at the beginning of the meeting, we did have a very successful town meeting a week ago on Monday. So just to touch briefly for the budget, I'm super appreciative of the town meeting support of our budget. They have honestly been very, very good to us. I think when we've worked closely with the town administration on the budget recommendations, and they've come forward, the town meeting reps, they always ask good questions, even behind the scenes, or they'll reach out ahead of time for additional information, but very much appreciate their support of our budgeting. So that was obviously a great vote. And then we had done a lot of pre-work leading up to the feasibility study vote, and that was also on the agenda that evening for the Parker Middle School project. And if you recall, when we talked about getting invited into eligibility in December, there's that 270-day window that started on April 1st and goes all the way till the end of December. And we have 8 different things we have to complete along that kind of pathway to ultimately be hopefully invited into the feasibility stage. One of the votes, which is typically towards the end, is typically the feasibility study vote, because you do need to fund the project to be able to procure the services of an owner's project manager, your OPM, and your designer or your architect for the project. We decided to actually kind of bump that vote up earlier in the process, because our town meeting typically does financial issues in April and then more zoning type issues in October. So we obviously had a pre-meeting. I went to a pre-town meeting, presented as well, and then that evening, we honestly didn't have too many questions, but super support again from town meeting reps for our project. So we did receive funding of $1.8 million. In your packet tonight, I did include a copy of the certified vote that we submitted to the state to just let them know that we did take that step, which again is a huge step. I think the state was very impressed with the fact that it was really overwhelming support in the community for the project. They don't like going in, they'll go in, but they're always kind of a little curious of what's going to happen if it's a real kind of close vote. So that was obviously a welcomed vote. But we were able to kind of get through that phase of the project quicker than required and anticipated. We submitted that paperwork, and then they confirmed that they received it just today, actually. So I updated your tracking sheet in the Google form on that particular project. But I thank the committee support, obviously the town support and town meeting support for the feasibility study funding. We will receive about 52% reimbursement for that funding, which again is significant. And I'm really looking forward to kind of completing these next few steps that we have to between now and the summer. And then we're kind of in a waiting queue until February, because we can't go before February of '25 to the MSBA Board of Directors to ultimately be invited into feasibility. And then that kicks off a whole, another series of steps. But very appreciative of everyone's work and support in the town. It was certainly a good vote, and I wanted to kind of keep this all together. We did include that vote. We added it up to the website because we're tracking all of our project information on the website. But certainly, like I said, a lot of time and effort went into it, but it was a very good outcome. So just wanted to thank everyone and reiterate the thank for the town's support.
Any questions on?
If I could just, I think we should, and I'll volunteer myself to draft it if you like, but I think we should send a note of thanks to our state reps. They really did support us on this at the beginning and continue to support us. So I'll be glad to draft something for us to send if you like. But in addition to that, I full-heartedly agree. It was just immense. I felt very emotional at the end because we've been at this for such a long time. And it was wonderful to see that support from everybody at that moment. It really was. And to know that, you know, if you have their support, you're going to be able to really get to the very end of this, even though it's going to be years. And you suddenly realize as well that you're creating incredible number of jobs for a lot of people, as well as getting a new building in our town that services the town. So it was really quite an emotional thing for me at that moment for some reason.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments on? No, I until you said it, right? We've been living this for 5 years, and just all of a sudden now we're here. It is kind of crazy. Now, in terms of the committee, there's really nothing for us to do between now and February, correct? Or is it just all behind the scenes
So
stuff?
it's all about, there's a lot of work to be done, but
Yeah.
it's not public type work. What we have to do is work on our enrollment projection with the MSBA. We have to hold a series of meetings with the MSBA to kind of figure out what the size of the school populations would be that we're looking to do. We have some survey information to fill out with the MSBA on how the town approaches maintaining its buildings. So there's a whole worksheet we have to fill out on that. We have to start to take a look at our existing programs that are operating within Parker Middle School to specify like what we would eventually like to make sure we include in the new building. So it's a lot of behind the scenes work. The more public piece was actually the feasibility vote. So between now and I'm going to guess, you know, by the end of the summer, we should have most of it actually wrapped up and then just be waiting for that vote in February. So, no, that was the big step. So a lot to be done, but more behind the scenes at this point. We won't be super public again probably until the fall when we complete all of the steps. When we sign the feasibility agreement, I'll keep providing little reminders as we go along the way. But then the real work will begin when we get invited into feasibility in February of '25. We need to issue RFPs to basically hire the project manager and the designer for the project. So the spring of '25, it'll become public again. And that's when I think spring of '25, summer, and then certainly fall of '25 is when we'll have a lot of community input sessions. We'll have some community forums to talk again about, you know, what do we have, what do we want to have, the different options, those three options we have in front of us. Physically, where might we build the building? So that'll all start to happen about a year from now.
Okay.
Yeah, great, so.
Great, so.
That's good. That was going to be my question. As soon as there going to be a chance for the public to weigh in, so good to know.
Yeah, most of it really starts in feasibility. So you do have to get the owner's project manager and then the designer are going to lead a lot of that work.
Right.
So I would say, again, a year from now, but certainly in the fall of '25, while we kind of hone in on things. And then we still have that whole year because we have up until July of '26 to really get all the work done.
Right.
But it'll become much more public again about a year from now.
Great.
Super.
It will be interesting to see how this will play into the whole town strategic plan, because
Yes.
as far as I know, last night, the company that's going to help do the work forward was approved last night at Select Board. I hope so. I don't know, but that was on the agenda. But there's going to be a lot of community forums and community input to ask people in town just what do they want for this town in the next 5 to 10 years. And buildings, or the capital, is a big part of the town, not just the school budget. It's a big part of the whole town vision. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays into that piece
Right.
coming to fruition, because a lot of that work will be done before this feasibility study
Right.
is done. So
And we'll be participating in those.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
Because we want to make sure that we're giving some input also and making sure that the schools stay on the front
Right.
burner.
it's one of the things I'm making sure that we have a voice in there.
Yes.
Great.
We'll be there. Great. Third item on the agenda this evening is one of our next steps in the process. Procedurally, the town does need to appoint a school building committee specific for this project. So things have changed quite a bit since if people were familiar with school building projects kind of years ago with the MSBA, but they have a little bit of a different process in some different areas. I had communication with Town Manager Cohen with regard to appointing the school building committee, and learned that in Chelmsford, it's the role of the town manager ultimately to bring recommendations forward to the select board to ultimately have there be approved boards in town. So if you look at the attachment in your packet, the MSBA actually has a very prescribed structure now for participation on the school building committee. This is a group that's going to convene regularly, not too much between now and like the end of the calendar year, just because we're doing more of the work behind the scenes. But certainly after the beginning of the calendar year is when a lot of work will happen. This would be the group that would interview, after we issue the RFP, interview the OPM candidates, interview the designer candidates, participate in the whole designer selection process with the MSBA. So as you look right down the list, there are just a bunch of different individuals by title that basically have to be on this, this board. Paul is the town manager, myself as the superintendent, the school committee member, Dennis, the Matthew Schweitzer is the DPW director for facilities. Tim Powderly is going to be the contact between the permanent building committee in town, because the town does have a separate committee. He's the chair of that committee. You need to have the school principal, which is Josh Blagg, going right down the list. Brian Curley, our facilities director. And then Paul recommended this list to the select board last night, and originally there were 12 members that were selected. The select board had a conversation about adding John Souza, the town finance director, to the list, because a lot of the funding for this is going to come from that, and there was just agreement about adding John to the list as well. So John was added as the 13th member. But the select board did vote to approve this last evening. And then the town manager will do a little bit of input into the second question. You just have to talk a little bit about past performance of building committees in town and what type of projects they've worked on. And then he'll submit this to the MSBA, and within a couple of weeks, they'll get back to us and say, yes, they accept, or, no, we want to change something. But typically, they would accept it. And then this is a group that can be updated from time to time. So someone may leave a position, someone may move into the community that wants to be part of this. There is some flexibility. You just always have to go back to the MSBA if you're going to make a change to the composition and let them know. But this is the 13-member group that will kick off our project.
Okay. Any questions on this? Once these meetings start, are these going to be meetings that are posted, open
Yeah,
meetings,
so these are,
agendas?
this is like a formal group.
Okay.
So they would be a posted meeting. It'd be, likely we're going to meet here. They'd likely also be televised. So like someone watching from the audience or the community certainly can follow the group's meetings. I just don't think there's going to be a lot of activity between now and like the end of the year. I'm sure we'll convene this spring to do a meet and greet and give everyone information to bring them up to speed. But most of the work will begin after the first of the year, once we get into feasibility. But this is an actual board. We'll meet, posted meetings, and likely televised.
Who leads this group?
So the town manager will recommend a chair, one of these members on the group. He's indicated to me, likely, he'll ask, hang on one second, Pat Maloney, who's the contact for the select board. Pat had been previously involved in the prior school building projects and has that type of a background. So he'll likely be the chair of the group.
Any other questions?
Oh.
When we were building
Right.
the new library in McCarthy.
All right, great.
All right, so more to come, but that's just an update for you tonight with regard to that. So that's another step in the process, and once it gets updated, we'll get that up on the website, and I'll also update your tracking sheet, because that was another deliverable. Fourth item on the agenda this evening, I think I finally have it right this time. This was
We're gonna rely on you, Sue.
the revised school committee meeting schedule for next year. So there were a couple different changes at the meeting, and then Sue actually, after the meeting, pointed out, I neglected to take off the November election. So you do have a revised schedule before you this evening. I highlighted the meetings that kind of fall out of order, and I do believe this actually eliminates all of the elections that are going to take place in the vacation week maneuvering we typically do. So I do believe this is ready for you to approve at this point. And then if you approve it, we'll get it obviously cleaned up, put on the website. We'll let the media know, and I'll include this in your Dropbox just for future reference.
So just to clarify, the only thing that's different from what we approved last time is the November 12th.
It's the November date.
Yeah, so everything else we had already kind of decided, so just.
You did.
Thing called presidential
Yeah,
election.
well, that might have some impact on things, so.
It did. No, it honestly slipped right by me.
And it slipped by me too until I went home and said, wait a minute.
All right, any questions?
No.
All right, I'll take a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the 2024/25 school committee meeting schedule, revised draft number 2, as presented.
I second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, so hopefully this is it.
Thank you. Yes, we're going to hope we don't have to change that again. Next item on the agenda, number 5, is an appointment of myself to serve as the representative on the Valley Collaborative Board of Directors. So as you recall, Chelmsford is a member district of Valley Collaborative, and each year we need to designate the individual who's appointed to the Valley Board. So I've been the district's designee on this board, very much enjoy the work of this group. I actually am currently serving as the chair of the Valley Group and enjoy that work as well. And I'm more than happy to stay on for another year, 24-25. So that is before you this evening.
Okay, any questions on the appointment?
I'm just curious, how many students from Chelmsford specifically are served by this school?
You had to ask me that off the top of my head.
Sorry.
No, and we have a little like pie chart that actually shows it. Do you know off the top of your head?
It's probably around maybe 50, if that many. I mean, I can
Okay.
text Amy and find out.
Yeah. Well, we're talking, as I actually do have a report on it. I'll check my
I
email.
didn't need exact numbers. 50 is fine. That's good to know. It's about that much. I wasn't sure. Thank you.
And they have program from elementary all the way.
Right, yeah,
to
I was a
adults,
little bit, I was aware of the overall structure of the school, but I didn't know how many of our kids were there.
Yeah, we actually are the district that has the most. So of all the districts, I believe there are 8 that are involved in Valley. We actually have the largest share of enrollment. The reason I know that is because each year when they actually do the return, if you look at the return of fund sheet, when they vote at the end of the year to send monies back to districts, if they have received their revenues, then it's apportioned by the number of students you have in the district. So there's a whole formula that they follow. But we have the most number of students participating of the member districts.
I'm curious, is that because of population? Is that because other districts have programming that serves those students more than what Chelmsford offers in-house? What's the, I guess, is it similar, like the same requirements per district? It's just how many kids qualified for that specific?
Yeah, it's similar. I actually think when you look like district to district, we have more students if they are in an out-of-district placement at, say, like a Valley Collaborative type environment, as opposed to like an out-of-district, like a profit or a nonprofit out-of-district type school.
Okay.
So I think the programming that they have really just kind of suits us very well. Our families are very happy with the programming. They have built some pretty considerable like ASD, autism type programming, as well as some of their behavioral and therapeutic programming. Really, just kind of suits us well.
Great.
But that has been very well subscribed again by our families. But I'll get you the actual number.
Thank you.
We also seem to have quite a few students who are in the kind of preparing for work portion of this. When they finish their high school here, they're in that preparing for work program, which I think is wonderful to keep them in a local community while they're still eligible for that phase of their education. So, it's not in-house, it's so much of a part of the community still.
Well, that actually is something different that Chelmsford does than some other communities. There are a lot of communities that actually kind of 18 to 22-year-olds will stay, say, at the high school, and the high school just have a program for the students. Ours actually, we don't have an in-district program for that, so our kids, technically graduate at 18 with their peers, and then they go to the transitional program, and it transitions actually right into the adult services program at Valley. And our parents have really liked that. So that is another reason, because some schools do actually just keep the kids until 22 in their high school. At 18, 19, we actually transition them to that program. It's kind of like a mid-step between transitioning into the adult services. So we do actually get some additional head count from that.
Got it, okay, that makes sense.
And as a parent of a child that's gone through that, it's a great program, and even in the adult program, I mean, the amount of work they do, making sure that everybody feels like they're a productive member of the community, it's remarkable, so it is.
I loved reading the newsletter. I was appreciative that that was included in our school committee packet.
All right, I'll take a motion.
I make a motion that we appoint Dr. J. Lang, to the Valley Collaborative Board of Directors for the term of July 1, 2024 to June 30th, 2025.
I second.
Any other questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
4-0.
Thank you very much. At this point, I'm actually going to turn the agenda over to Dr. Hirsch, who has a couple of updates for us. The first one, I know a couple of members have been very eager to see what's happening with our seniors at the high school. So we have a little report on some of the senior activities at Chelmsford High School.
Sure, so today's the 125th day of school, leaving us with 25 more days of school and exactly 3 weeks before senior week starts for the class of 2024, which is super exciting. This is a annual tradition that each year the senior week is put together by the class officers, that is also led by the 2 class advisor teachers, which is Miss Marion Smith and Dr. Stina Cavarud. And it's all sorts of fun. They've been working very hard. There's a little bit of a change this year in one of the events that they're doing. They're doing those breakfasts rather than just the senior clap-outs at the elementary school. So they're excited to see how that's going to work out and if that's a tradition that other classes would like to continue with. So we shall see, right? They're going to be the maiden voyage of this. So they're very excited to, put all these things together. So they have actually 4 events. Well, 4, one of them, they have to take a nap. 4 events leading up to graduation, and graduation is going to be on June 1st at the Songus Arena, which is very exciting, at 4 o'clock, where we will see them off, and they can go off and enjoy their new lives, and they do such a good job. So they're excited. They love the little bit of change that they're doing this year. And the class officers have been working very, very hard. We're excited, and I'd like to go to the barbecue. It's always a good one. And if there's any questions about what the seniors are doing.
Any questions on the senior schedule?
I love that there's a nap that's built in
Yep.
to the
Yeah, that's right. I
schedule
like the nap,
because
yeah.
that was amazing. I was like, and there's a visual that goes with it. I was like, I'm in. I'm on nap on that day.
And Maria, the after prom party is a go?
It's a go. So I know they've all been working towards it. It's on the 29th to the 30th. They have a good amount of, they've been working on their budget throughout the year. And I know that they're going to be putting out a sign-up sheet, and some places will be the drop-off. Parents of the senior class, many do donate towards the prom. Last year, well over 200 students, I believe, attended it, which was even more than attended the prom, I believe.
Wow. Really?
And I think what has been said over the years is some students really feel comfortable in that environment. It's less dressing up and so on, a bit less formal, but really a lot of fun.
Great.
And I know these parents work really hard to make it fun. So they've
they
done a
still do
tremendous
prizes?
job. There are prizes, tons of prizes. The last prize is usually a couple of $500 cash prizes and so on, sometimes I don't know what this year's
They've
is.
been doing it forever.
so I
My
don't-
kids all went to it, and they've been
Yeah,
at school for a
absolutely.
long time, and they all went to theirs.
There's a great DJ lined up for the after prom. I remember a couple of years ago, they said, well, we loved this DJ, it was so good. So I think kids, they're not kids anymore. These young adults really get into it, and they treat it with the respect that it deserves, which I really appreciate of the students every year.
And I hope the breakfast goes well. I was at the Harrington PTO meeting when the students came to talk about their plan, and they were really excited. The idea is they want to have breakfast at their elementary school so that they can reconnect with all the teachers they had back when they were there. And the kids were really happy and excited to bring that idea forward. So I guess they're doing it at all the
And they're
schools.
still going to do the clap out, so they still.
Right, right.
Yeah. So
Yes.
they're getting the best of both.
Yeah, nice idea.
There was a discussion too, when I went to the Center School PTO, was at that meeting about this, and they wondered how it was gonna work and so on, so we'll see how it goes this year. What struck me is nobody has like the deep desire to return to the middle school. And I remember this from when we were graduating from high school too. You remember your circle days, which is really, really good in building that community and returning to it. So it's wonderful.
Great. All right, thank you for the update.
And I'm continuing on, right?
Yeah, I have some breaking news.
Breaking news.
Breaking news, if we can go off our agenda right here for a second. Our middle school team from McCarthy Middle School is competing in the Regional Knowledge Bowl. So we put, it's like a trivia. but
Yeah, it's
like a
it's
Jeopardy type
facts, and they
format.
have to compete against teams tied.
So we were the champs last year. It was a very long story, but we ended up winning the championship last year. I just got a text that the round just concluded, and we have gone back-to-back champs. So the Chelmsford Lions, back-to-back champs. So this is the Regional Knowledge Bowl that's hosted by the Lowell Sun. So Lowell, Billerica, Dracut, Dingsboro, Tewksbury, in the finals this evening, so we won a preliminary round last night, was Lowell, Tewksbury, and Chelmsford. Chelmsford won with 345 points, followed by Tewksbury at 270. It was a pretty good win. And then Lowell came in third place. So the kids did a great job, so.
See, great memories of middle
I
school.
don't want to say. So it was it was excellent. We'll congratulate the kids and thank them and give them some recognition, but this is quite the accomplishment.
Yes. Wow.
Okay, Linda.
Well, and more good news.
That is so good.
We're going to talk about senior awards. So tonight, I just have the list of the students that have earned the seal of biliteracy, and this is the award that recognizes students that receive proficiency both in their ELA, MCAS, as well as a proficiency-based assessment in a language. This is something we've done since the inception of the seal of biliteracy, so this is not new to Chelmsford. It is new to some of districts you might hear, but we've been doing it since Department of Education has allowed it to happen. I'd like to thank Kelly Rogers for helping out this year with this because we had 66 students taking the test. The ASL one was the most amazing one to watch because you're actually watching them do their videos and it's silent and they're moving around, so my head was kind of swiveling. I took those kids. So it was great to be able to have them in two different sections. Just a little bit of an update. We did have I know this is the class of 2024, but there is a junior that snuck into the list. It's okay, we love our juniors. We'll hold that Seal of Biliteracy Award for them till they're a senior, and then they will earn the Seal of Biliteracy when they graduate in 2025. I made an update on the slide that I'm going to move forward with. And we did have a fourth student that received the Seal of Biliteracy in 2 languages, and that fourth student earned it not only the Seal of Biliteracy, but the Seal of Biliteracy with distinction in Portuguese. So she's on there for both. I highlighted them in a different color. So that was, I believe it's Emily that's up there. So sometimes the kids register with different names. So if they have a hyphenated name, so I've looked at it again. I was like, I think we have a fourth student with 2 Seal of Biliteracies, and she was the one that had it with the Seal of Biliteracy and with distinction. So, I take it back, it was Victoria. Emily, Victoria, they start to blend after a while. So there was 7 different languages that students were taking this in, and they were very excited. And you know what was nice is I know there's 66 students, and we have 24 seniors plus the 1 junior. But, even though those 66 students may not have made it, they tried. They feel comfortable enough in the language that they're speaking and listening skills, and they can also retake different portions of it. So if any of those students were sophomores, we've noticed that lately we've been getting some sophomores that are taking the Seal of Biliteracy test. They're not just waiting till their junior or senior year to take it, which is great. They can also take it again. If they didn't do so well and they weren't one of the recipients this year, they still have a couple of years to then take the stamp test again, which is great. So we're very proud of these students.
is
They're going to
wonderful.
be awarded, there's a senior award night, so they'll be recognized senior award night at CHS at the end of the month.
It's fantastic.
Any questions on this, or?
No, but I'm going to urge them to consider teaching, because we need so badly language teachers, right?
Yes.
So badly. This is wonderful.
I think it's great how many kids got in ASL. I mean, that program has really taken off in the last
Yeah,
couple of years.
that's a very hard one. I mean, you have to remember, they've only taken it for 2 to 3 years before they're actually getting the seal by literacy. So it's not students that took it, had it in 7th and 8th grade, like some of the students for Spanish and French. So it is very, very hard. They have to do it's amazing to watch them. It's an amazing class to actually go and observe, especially as an administrator, because it's silent.
Yes.
So it's like a tennis match. Like my head just kind of swivels back and forth. I'm like,
How do you know if the teacher's doing a good job?
well, that's the hard one. I do not have a translator. I do not have my translator earbuds, so that I can pick up some things based on what they're doing, and the teacher's excellent. She's always like, this is what we're gonna be working on. So that's a very interesting class, but it's silent for somebody like me.
Any other questions or comments? All right, well, thank you for sharing. All right, let's see. Next is Valley Collaborative.
Next is Valley.
Yeah.
Diane had actually mentioned this, so we have a little bit of a different format. So at our last Valley meeting, we had a meeting with the group that does the review of the collaboratives in the state. And there's a new procedural element that's being added into the collaboratives requirements. And that's to make sure that, and I usually provide for you all the different handbooks, but sometimes I'll just email them out. Not handbooks, I'm sorry, the newsletters and things like that. And sometimes we include them in packets. But DESE is actually going to be looking for the collaborative to provide proof that each of the newsletters and the documentation, as well as you'll notice some financial statements at the end of it, are actually provided to all the member school districts of the collaborative. So they're going to be providing this quarterly to us, and I'm going to put it on the agenda as a report. And we do need for the meeting minutes to have there be a recognition that the committee has received and accepted this, just as a report and place it on file, but just so that the information has been shared with the local communities. And then we'll have to take a copy of this packet with a copy of the meeting minutes and provide it to Valley, because as they're audited each year, this is going to be one of the things that they're verified to make sure that they've done. So again, Chris Scott's the executive director and does a very nice job over at Valley. She's provided a copy of their spring newsletter, and it really is nice. It talks about some of the different programming and different elements, and they highlight different students from the different communities each month. The programming really is excellent, and I think our kids are very well served there. You'll notice on the last page for Valley, it's a little different composition by different collaborative boards, but all of the members of the Valley Board are the superintendents from the different areas. So it's Chelmsford, Billerica, Dracut, Groton, Dunstable, Neshoba, North Middlesex, Tewksbury, Tringsboro, and Westford. So we're the districts that comprise Valley. We all have students that go there, take advantage of the different programs. We also do open up enrollment to other districts, so we call them non-member districts. They pay a slightly higher rate for having their kids participate, but again, it's a great program, and I think some great services. And then you will see the treasurer's report, which was presented to the board. This is through March, when we had our last meeting. So happy to answer any questions. Again, you're going to start to see this quarterly, and the motion would be just for the committee to accept this as a report of progress and place it on file. And Sharon, I'll just look and make sure the wording on the motion is right the first time, and then we can just do it that way quarterly going forward.
Okay, it's what you have.
Yeah, just what I have, yeah.
Any questions before we take a motion? I'm pretty sure I know but financially, they're in pretty good shape. I know school
they're in very good
districts,
shape.
towns are a lot of struggles, but they're doing.
Yeah, so Valley is in very good shape. I think when you take a look, ironically, at the tuitions that, say, we pay for Valley as compared to like other collaboratives, the tuitions are actually on the lower end. And they're still generating a revenue, and they're only able to retain a certain percentage of revenue at the end of the year. And then if they exceed that, that money comes back to the member districts through the distribution. So we'll have an idea later on this year exactly what our kind of return is going to be for fiscal, they'll get in fiscal '25. But it's been pretty significant. And we've used that as a revenue offset in our budget, so we typically anticipate some money coming in from Valley, and we use that to augment our budget. But yeah, they're in very good financial shape. They're very well invested even into their OPEB liability fund. At one point, they were actually fully funded. Obviously, the stock market didn't do great 2 years ago and took a little bit of a hit. But the revenues are building up in that fund as well. So, no, they're financially in very good shape.
Good to hear. Yeah, great.
I make a motion that we recommend, I make a motion that we accept the report from Valley Collaborative dated April 29, 2024, as a report of the progress and place it on file.
I second the motion.
Okay. All right, any further comments or questions? All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
4-0.
Thank you. And the last item on the agenda in a new business tonight for me is just the approval of one field trip. This is from McCarthy Middle School. This is the 8th grade end-of-year class activity class trip on June 3rd, Monday, June 3rd, going to Mel's Funway in Litchfield, New Hampshire. It's just a day trip, but it is out of state, so that's why it's before you this evening.
Take a motion.
Oh, I make a motion that we accept the field trip as presented.
I will second the motion.
Okay, any questions on the field trip? All right, all those in favor? Aye. 4-0.
Thank you, and that concludes the new business tonight.
Okay, anyone have any liaison reports?
I can share a little bit. So I have gone to my first liaison meeting at South Row with a PTO yesterday. And they have a lot going on. I actually kind of left with my head spinning a little bit for all the different things happening right now at South Row. And I say this perhaps with two meanings because I'm also a parent at South Row. And a lot of those activities are for their graduating fourth graders. They really work very hard to make the end of the fourth grade experience meaningful and special. I think a couple of kind of things to highlight are that there is an art show coming up Thursday, the 23rd at South Row. They are wrapping up the student council, which they presented to us about a couple of months ago, and they have 50 kids that were in part of that this year, so that's really exciting. And they are beginning already to move into placement with the hope of having that lined up before the end of the school year. So a lot of good stuff happening there. And then I'm still working out an initial meeting with the Parker and McCarthy PTOs, but I think that's coming up in a couple weeks.
Great, okay. Sue, do you have anything?
Yeah, I went to CHIPS PTO last night. They amaze me every month. They do so many things for those kids at CHIPS, bringing in all kinds of enrichment and just fun activity days. They did give a thank you to some of the people and groups that have come in and provided some of the enrichment. They do it at least once a month, so I wanted to also just publicly shout out to help them thank some of those providers, and I'm sorry if I miss anyone, but they just finished having Goldfish Swim come in and do a free program on water safety. They had Sugar Bug Dental come in and do a free program. They had Andy Riga of Chelmsford Music come in and do a free program. The firefighters came in and did, and they're about to have the Touch-A-Truck where the DPW and the ambulance and all the other town people come in and they just give up their time for free to do it. So just a real great shout out for all those community people who've come in and done that for these kids at absolutely no cost. So it's great. But they got a lot going on at CHIPS. They do a really great job, this PTO. Great. They did, I also will say, they had Joe the storyteller come, who does get paid, but they absolutely love him. And Animal Adventures comes in for them every year and brings animals for the kids to touch and see. So a couple of them they do pay for, but a lot of people come in and do it for free for them. It's great.
It is a good group of just a few people that run the thing. I mean, so it's amazing what they get.
They get a lot done.
Yeah, so.
Yes, wonderful.
Maria, you have anything?
Okay, I get the pleasure of the combined schools, which are Center and McCarthy, on May 4th, held Recycle Day. And special real thanks to Erica, Beth, and Danielle. Julio Silva, thank you. He put up all the signs. That was amazing. The backlot people, Alicia, Carrie, and Michelle, and also to Ginger, who did an excellent job. They had 260 cars dropping off 132 TVs and monitors, 7 refrigerators. They filled 2 dumpsters and 3 truckloads. That's amazing. You will never believe what they grossed. They grossed $15,242 in 4 hours.
Wow.
So it has become truly a community event. I'd like to really congratulate them on continuing this and bringing it to this level for the entire community. The second thing, it's amazing. It really is. This next one is November 2nd. The next thing that, and you'll get to report on it, me too, because it's Center in McCarthy. So the next thing is that I attended the Wellness Committee meeting. And we only meet 4 times a year. In this meeting was a recap of the Wellness Fair. Now, we won some award, and I don't know if you've been told this already about the award, but we did. We won some award for the wellness in our district. It's going to be posted and everything. A little story will be done on it, so we'll hear more about it as it comes along.
To the coordinators in the morning.
And the incredible thing is that that fair went really well. There was a lot of really positive feedback from students. It was all done at the high school level. Next year, we have several areas that we're going to explore working on. And one of them, we have to return to our assessment tool and assess everything that's been going on. Again, we will. But we're going to take on a couple of goals for next year, and I'll report on those for beginning of the year.
Right, Alumni Association was supposed to meet last week. They had to cancel meeting, but they've been working very hard behind the scenes to finalize the scholarships that they're gonna be giving off. I believe their scholarship awards thing is gonna be the next time we have a meeting, so Tuesday, the 21st. So, unfortunately, but they, offer a ton of scholarships. The signups were great this year. They went to a new online platform, so that'll work really well. And the other thing I wanted to mention is CPAC is having a virtual meeting Thursday night at 7 o'clock, and you can get information on how to log into that on their Facebook page. So, be looking on how that goes. Yep. All right. Anybody have any new items? Good. All right. All right. I didn't see any emails, and we have no other public speakers, so we can move on to taking a motion to adjourn.
I will move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right. Thank you very much.